It started with whispers, small, uncertain comments that trickled through fan forums and sports talk shows. But now, the truth is impossible to ignore. Caitlin Clark's injury isn't just a routine setback. According to her own doctor, what the public has been told barely scratches the surface. This isn't the kind of injury that heals with rest and an ice pack. It's deeper, more complex, and far more dangerous than anyone outside her inner circle realized. And if something doesn't change soon, her rookie season might mark the beginning of the end. The diagnosis was chilling. Multiple lower body issues weren't happening by chance. They were connected. Experts call it compensation injury syndrome, a cascading effect, where one injury forces other parts of the body to overcompensate, eventually leading to further breakdown. Clark's relentless drive, her refusal to sit, and the unyielding schedule have all fed into this vicious cycle. Every time she steps back on the court without full recovery, she risks compounding the damage. Even after hearing this, the league's public stance remained eerily calm. Phrases like day to day were used to downplay what insiders knew was a serious issue. But fans began connecting the dots. They saw her limp off against the Connecticut Sun. They remembered earlier games when she played through visible discomfort. To them, it was the image of toughness. To her doctor, it was a dangerous gamble with her long-term career. In professional sports, every decision to play hurt is a calculated risk. But this time, the stakes weren't just wins and losses. They were the future of one of the WNBA's brightest stars, and the clock was already ticking. Behind closed doors, there was no decisive move to prioritize her body above all else. The Indiana Fever stuck to familiar talking points, calling it minor strain and tightness while Clark continued logging over 30 minutes per game, flying across time zones, making promotional appearances, and enduring relentless practices. Each obligation added more pressure to a body already under siege. Every day without proper recovery didn't just delay healing, it pushed her closer to a breaking point. And that's where the story turns disturbing. While the public saw a string of bad luck or unrelated knocks, specialists were warning that her physical foundation was beginning to crack. This wasn't about one injury. It was a chain reaction. A chain reaction no one seemed willing to interrupt. Her doctor made it clear, without serious intervention, the very traits that made Clark a star, her grit, her willpower, her refusal to quit, could also be her undoing. Her injury history in just her rookie season reads like a grim checklist. Left quadriceps, left groin, right groin, then back to the left. For lower body injuries in less than 8 weeks, in any sport, that's alarming. In the WNBA, it's a full-blown emergency. Yet instead of shutting her down, the Fever kept her in the rotation. Game after game, she was asked to ignore her body's signals for the sake of momentum, ratings, and ticket sales. These weren't garbage minutes. Clark was carrying her team's offense while absorbing intense defensive pressure from opponents, who saw her as the ultimate target. The risk wasn't abstract. It was real, visible, and getting worse. Her playing time wasn't just about competition. It was about fulfilling an unspoken agreement between the league and its new face. She would keep performing no matter the cost, even when that cost was mounting injuries that now threatened the very skills that made her special. That made her irreplaceable. The truth is, this kind of physical toll doesn't happen in isolation. It's every sprint, every cut, every hard landing sent shockwaves through her joints, hips, and ankles. As the injuries piled up, her body began to compensate in quiet, dangerous ways. A slight change in her gait, a different way of planting her foot. Tiny adjustments that subtly altered her mechanics, even her shot. To the casual observer, these changes were invisible. But to medical professionals, they were glaring red flags warnings that demanded everything stop. But nothing stopped. Instead of getting the rest she needed, Clark faced a relentless schedule. There was no easing up, no scaling back. The games continued, the flights kept coming, the appearances didn't slow. She was still the face of the league, still headlining sold-out arenas and carrying her team on the court. Every obligation, was another weight pressing down on a body already breaking down. And while fans celebrated her toughness and resolve, few truly understood the cost. This wasn't just about surviving a rookie season. It was about whether she'd have a long career at all, in a different system, in a league with a different approach. The first signs of trouble would have triggered real intervention. But here, the cycle continued unchecked. And as her injuries began to alternate sides from left to right, back to left again, the danger became clearer. She wasn't just playing through pain. She was being slowly worn down, one step at a time, with no one stepping in to stop it, no one making the hard call to protect her from herself. Her off-season transformation had seemed smart adding muscle to survive the WNBA's physicality. On paper, it was exactly what she needed, a stronger, more durable frame to hold her ground. But no one fully considered how those changes might affect her biomechanics. Even slight shifts in her strength and movement patterns could cause issues. Under the intense, repetitive stress of a full professional season, and they did, the changes were subtle. It's just enough to alter her stride, the way she landed, how she moved laterally. And in a league that gives players almost no time to recover, those small changes became big problems. A stronger body can only go so far without balance and efficient mechanics. And that balance, in Clark's case, was slowly unraveling. Opponents began to notice. There were moments she pulled back, hesitated, avoided certain cuts. Analysts picked up on it too. Behind the scenes, so did her medical team. Her shot, something she'd refined over years of repetition, wasn't quite the same. The changes were almost imperceptible, but enough to shift stress onto different joints. With no real rest, no consistent recovery time, those stresses began to accumulate. Her body wasn't adapting. It was being forced to operate at maximum output without pause, without reset. And eventually, it started to crack. The signs became harder to ignore. The limp became more pronounced. The grimaces after contact lasted longer, but the demands never eased. The WNBA schedule is punishing. For a rookie, it's a gauntlet. Every game is a challenge, every matchup a test. Clark kept showing up. She kept delivering highlights. But behind the clips and headlines, her body was paying for it. The cycle of travel, games, and media obligations left her with recovery time measured in hours, not days. Under that kind of load, especially with altered biomechanics, injury wasn't a possibility, it was inevitable. It all reached a boiling point on that unforgiving night in July against Connecticut. For the first time, the public saw something different. Clark sat on the bench, shoulders slumped, head down, hands on her knees. Then came the tears. Not just from pain, but from the realization that her body was no longer responding to her. She wasn't just battling opponents anymore. She was battling her own body and losing. Those tears weren't just frustration. They were the culmination of a season spiraling out of control. By late July, anyone paying close attention could see it. Clark's body was under siege. This was no longer about one injury. It was about something systemic, a clash between the league's commercial demands and basic medical responsibility. What had started as a rookie trying to find her footing had become something much darker. Behind the bright lights and sold-out arenas, the real story was unfolding quietly. Every game she played, every basket she scored, came at an invisible price. Those close to her could see the toll. They whispered about the pain she couldn't hide anymore,